second graders. Welcome back to your TV classroom. Today is Thursday, January 14th. How are you? How was your Wednesday night? I hope you had a great night. I had a great night with Oliver. Before we get started today, let's check in with our zone. How are you feeling today? How's your brain feeling? How's your body feeling? You know, Gus, my body's feeling a little sore today. Have you ever had a sore body? Yeah, so I'm feeling a little bit distracted because my muscles are kind of sore. I've been doing all this walking and lifting weights and stuff, and my body's feeling sore, so I'm feeling a little distracted by my sore body. Wonder what I could do to help me get back to the green zone. Oh, maybe I could do like a body squeeze where I can just like say, it's okay, body, and just take some deep breaths. Yeah, that feels better. I feel more in the green zone. Thanks, Gus. Make sure that you get yourself to the green zone today, too. Now, it's time for What's Missing Thursday. And I know when students see a missing piece that's not the answer, it's not the difference or the sum, their brains go, wah! Because it's hard. But if we say the parts we know, and we say the parts how we understand them, it might make it a little bit easier. So let's look at the first problem together, and let's not let our brains freak out. Let's think about, what do we know we're doing in this problem? So I see that it says blank minus 9 equals 0. What do we know? We know that we're going to be taking an amount away, right? This says minus. And how many are we going to take away? 9. And how many are going to be left? 0. Think about that for a minute. If I have a pile and I take 9 away and there are none left, how many did I take away? If you're not sure, let's try one. What about 8? Can I take 9 away from 8? Nope, that's not going to work. Okay, what about 10? If I take 9 away, will I have 0? No, I'll have 1. So how many do I need to start with if I'm going to take 9 away and have 0 left over? Yeah, 9. 9 minus 9 equals 0. See, it wasn't that bad, was it? Let's go on to the next one. Oh, man. Well, what do we know? We know that we start with a quantity of 12. We know we're going to take some away. And we know that we're going to have 8 left. Can you figure it out now? Oh, you could add on, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How many is that? 4. Do 4 and 8 make 12? So if I have 12 and take 4 away, how many will I have left? 8. Problem solved. When you talk about what you do know, it helps you find what you don't know. Instead of worrying about what you don't know, what I don't know, what I don't know, what I don't know, and I just don't understand, and I can't get it, and I'm frustrated, and I don't like that, and I just can't do it. Have you ever felt that way? I have. And you got to stop. And you have to say, I can do this. I'm a strong mathematician, and I do know things. And you figure out what you know, and then see if what you know can help you figure out what you don't know. It's okay to feel frustrated sometimes. It's not okay to stay frustrated, okay? So if you get to that point, take a deep breath and find one thing you do know, just one, and see if that helps. Okay, what do we know? Yes, we know there's 13 total, right? Because we're subtracting. When we subtract, we start with the whole. That's why I love number bonds. They help so much when we're doing missing addends or missing subtrahend problems. So what else do we know? We know that the difference is 9, or that there's 9 remaining. We just don't know how many we took away from 13 to get to 9. Well, how are you going to figure that out? Gus, you want to count up? Oh, well, Gus said, well, 9 to 10 is 1, and 10 to 13 is 3, and 1 and 3 is 4. So Gus, you think it's 4? Let's check. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think Gus is right. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. It's 4. We checked our work. It was the same answer both times when we did it 2 different ways. Nice job, friends. Okay, what do you know? We know that 18 is our total starting amount. What else do we know? We know that the difference is 7, or what's left is 7. What don't we know? We don't know how many we're taking away, or we don't know how many are in between 7 and 18. How do you want to solve this one? Do you really want to count on for this one? If you're at 7 all the way to 18? No. Oh, we could subtract 7 from 18, and that would give us the other part, right? If you take a whole and you subtract a part, you find the other part. So what is 18 minus 7, friends? Yeah, it's 11. That was easy. And if I put 11 and 7 together, do I get 18? Yes. So what's missing? Yeah, it's 11. See, you did it. Oh, man. Just when we're getting good, they switch it on us. Now they've given us different information. But we take a deep breath. Okay, what do we know? Oh, we know the part we take away is 10, and we know the difference is 35. Wait a minute. I know both of my parts. What do I do when I know both parts? I put them together to find the whole. What's 10 plus 35? 45. So what's missing? 45. Now let's check it and make sure it's reasonable and makes sense. If I have 45 and I take 10 away, how much do I get? 35. Today we're learning the concept of 100. Now I know you know what 100 is, second graders. I know you did 100 in kindergarten, and I know you did 100 in first grade, but we're going to take it up a level today. Are you ready? On your whiteboard, if you have base 10 blocks with you today, use them. If not, you're going to draw the base 10 blocks, and let me show you how we draw base 10 blocks in second grade. It's very simple. You ready? This is a 10, and that's a 1. And this is 100. It's that simple. Because, look, this is 100, this is 1, and this is 10. So that's, when you draw them, that's what they look like. Okay, so I want you to show me, draw 3 10s, or build 3 10s. What do you get? 3 10s is what? 30. Mr. Kevin, could we have both things up, please? 5 10s. 5 10s. Put them down. 5 10s is what? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 5 10s is 50. Now we need 7 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Or you may have said 50, 60, 70. 7 10s is 70. So here's 70. And 2 more 10s, 7, 8, 9 10s. 70, 80, 90. 9 tens is 90. It's hard to think about our numbers as tens and then back to the number and then back to the tens. But as soon as you can get really fluid with that, the more this is going to make sense. So 9 tens, or 9 groups of 10, is 90. 9 of these 10 sticks is 90. 9 of these ones is just 9. And 9 of these hundreds, these ones right here, 900. Okay. What is 100? Private think time. What is 100? 100 is 100 is 100 ones. It's 100 of these. Okay. What else is 100? 100 is 10 tens. It's 10 of these. I'm not going to draw 100 ones because it's going to take our entire time, but I will draw 10 tens. These are my 10 sticks drawings. 100 is 1 100. 100 literally means one group of 100. There's one of them. This is a 100. It has 100 squares in it. It has 10 tens. Let me show you. Have you ever done this before? Some of you might have never seen this before. These are 10 sticks, right? Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Equivalent. They're the same. 10 tens is the same as 100 square, which is the same as 100 ones cubes. I can put 100 of them on there. Pretty cool. 100 is 100 ones, or 10 tens, or 100. Let's take a look. We can just look at the PowerPoint, Mr. Kevin. It says, show 90 in different ways. So I'm going to see what they have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 columns. Do you see it? And there's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many little squares are there? Yeah, there's 90 of them. 90 is how many ones then? When I'm asking that, I want to know, these are ones. I want to know how many of these squares are in this whole picture. We can count by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. There are 90 ones, right? Are there 90 little squares there? Yeah. Now they did it in 10 sticks. Can you draw it in 10 sticks on your board or build it with your 10 sticks? I'm going to just use the picture here. Now, I'm not counting the little squares anymore. Notice when we're counting with the 10 sticks, we count the whole stick. 1, 2, because this is the 10. If we were counting these are ones. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many 10 sticks is 90? How many sticks were there? 9. 90 is 9 tens. It's 9 of these sticks. Not 90 of them. It's 90 of these little tiny squares. 9 of these sticks. Okay, now let's look at 100. 100 is how many of these little tiny squares? Yeah, 100. 100 is 100 ones. How many tens is it? Let's count it. We're not going to count by tens because they've given us 100. Let's count by tens and check it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. We have 100. So now we need to figure out how many of these sticks did they use? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 100 is 10 tens. And how many hundreds cubes did they use for 100? How many of these did they use? Just one. It's not broken apart. 100 is 100. It's not 100 of these, is it? I don't have 100 of these. It's just one of them. I don't have 100's 10 sticks to make 100. I have 10 of them. But I do have 101 sticks. Look at the blocks below. The blocks show how many hundreds. How many hundreds do you see? 100, 200s. There are 2 hundreds. It's a word. There's not 200 hundreds, are there? Are there 200 of these blocks? No. There's 1, 2. There are 2 hundreds. It can be very tricky. Think about ways to show 200 using place value. 0 hundreds, 0 tens, and how many ones would you have if it's 200? 200 ones. What if you're doing it with tens? Well, if 100 is 10 tens, then what's 200? 10 tens plus 10 tens is 20 tens. Very good. And how many hundreds? We already figured that one out right there. How many hundreds? 2. Great. Okay. Today, you're going to be doing a workbook page that says 100 on it. You're going to tell me what it is, what you know about it, and some examples. You're going to do page 309 and 310 in your workbook, working on this idea of hundreds and tens and ones. Today, we made 100 with ones, or looked at it. We made 100 with tens, and we were able to explain our thinking. Before you go, you need to make sure you have your ELA packet, your pencil, and your learning buddy ready to go for Miss Oslin. When you come back from your break, it'll be learning time with her. Make sure to take care of your needs, and I will see you tomorrow, second graders. Bye.
I'm Denise Dillenbeck, concertmaster of the Northwest Sinfonietta, and I'm here to share a moment of music and breath with you today. Let's take a moment to get centered together before we listen to music. Put one hand on your heart and the other on your belly. Now breathe in for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold your breath at the top for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that together one more time. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. We are living through turbulent times. If you sometimes feel the sadness during all the challenges of this school year, you are not alone. When I'm sad, I turn to music to give my heart a lift. This piece by J.S. Bach is one of the happiest pieces I know. I first heard it on Sesame Street when I was a little girl, and it made me want to play the violin. It's called Gavotte en Rondo, and it's a music from Bach's time. If I were to think of words to describe how this music makes me feel, I would say jaunty and joyous. Now you try to think of a word that describes the feeling of the music while I play it for you. If you have room around you, you can also try making your own dance to this music. See what feels right to you.
Hi, second graders. Welcome back from your break. I see that you have gathered your materials. You have your ELA packet, you have your pencil, your learning buddy. Hey, Gus. Let's get started. We've been learning about letter writing, and today we're going to learn that letter writers always choose an addressee and purpose before writing. Those are fancy words for saying you're going to think about who you're writing to and why you are writing to them before you actually start writing. You're not just going to start writing a letter without knowing who it's to and why you're writing them. Now, we have read a lot of books as mentor texts to help us think about purposes for writing, why we write letters. And in your ELA packet, on page 9, we've been looking at this document, which is Some Purposes for Letter Writing. Some letters are to persuade or convince someone to take your side or support a cause, to express thoughts, feelings, and opinions, to establish and maintain a relationship, To share news, to stay close with friends or family, to request something, that means ask for something, to record observations and events, to ask or share information, to ask for help, to tell a story. Do you remember that fancy word that we learned where an author will write a story using letters to tell the story? Epistolary writing. You can also share visual information like illustrations or photos just to entertain. And we talked about how a letter can be like a conversation where when we are talking to someone, I say something and then Mr. Kevin says something and then I say something and then Mr. Kevin says something. That's a conversation. And letters are the same, just written word as opposed to spoken word. So I can write a letter to Mr. Kevin, he could write me back, I could write him back, and we have this dialogue in the form of a letter going back and forth. So today I want you thinking about who are you going to write a letter to, who's going to be your addressee, and why are you going to write them? We're going to look back at some of the books that we've read and look at some examples. And let's think about one of these. The very first bullet says to convince or persuade someone to take your side or support a cause. Now, which of our books that we have read is like a persuasive letter? Which of our characters was trying to convince someone to think like them or give them what they wanted? Do you remember? Alex in I Want a New Room. He was trying to convince someone. Who was he trying to convince and what was he trying to convince them of? Remind yourself, see if you remember. He was trying to convince his parents to give him back his room after his baby sister Annie was born. And our author, Karen Kaufman Orloff, does this in the form of letters, where Alex and his parents are writing letters back and forth, much like they would have a conversation about this. So let's look at some examples. One of the letters that Alex writes to his dad says, "Dear Dad, you have no idea what it's like to share a room with Ethan. He sticks crayons up his nose and barks like a walrus, and he snores like Grandpa Ralph. So how about giving my old room back? Please don't say, go bother your mother. Been there, done that. Love, Fed Up Alex." Now, Alex had to think about who he was writing to, his dad, and he had to think about the purpose for his letter, which was to convince his dad to give him what he wanted. This is a persuasive letter. And he does this by asking questions. So how about giving me my old room back? And he gives examples to support his thinking. So if you're thinking that you're going to write a persuasive letter today, you need to keep in mind what examples can you provide, and are you going to ask questions to encourage your addressee or the person that you're writing to write you back? Let's see another example. This one is from Dad back to Alex. So Dad also had to stop and think, who am I writing to and what is my purpose? Dear Alex, sorry we had to move you out of your room, but Annie's a girl and Mom says girls need privacy to do girl stuff. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm guessing it has to do with hair and makeup. Love, Dad. So Dad thought, well, I'm writing back to Alex, which tells me that Alex must have done something to get Dad to write him back, right? Which is another purpose of letter writing. And he answers some of his questions. Sorry we had to move you out of your room. Well, I guess he's not answering his question, but he's addressing Alex's concern. Saying, yeah, we had to do that. Sorry about that, but here's why we did it. So his purpose here is to explain. And then there's Annie with hair and makeup. Dear Dad, Annie is a baby. She doesn't have any hair, and if she wore makeup, she would drool on it. By the way, did I mention Ethan broke my skateboard and lost my brand new Captain Creepy action figure? The kid is out of control, Dad. Love, your seriously upset child. So the purpose of this letter is to answer Dad back, right? And to give more reasons why Alex should have his own room. So it's still a persuasive letter. But he's also expressing how he feels, isn't he? You're seriously upset child, Alex. So one type of letter that you could publish is to express your opinion. And this can look or sound like a persuasive letter, like Alex did, or it can look and sound like a letter to a favorite author, where you share your favorite parts of their book, or you could even ask questions to gather information from your favorite author. So think about, now that we have seen an example, what are you thinking right now about what type of letter you want to write? Take some think time. Now, if you can't come up with just one, I think that would be a really strong idea to come up with more than one so that you can draft more than one letter and we can go back and revise and edit multiple letters so that when you're done, you have many different pieces of writing ready to send to whoever you chose as your addressee. So let's look at another example of letter writing in Plantzilla by Jardine Nolan. You'll remember this is a story about Mortimer Henryson him and his parents are writing back and forth with his teacher. And at first he was trying to convince his teacher why Plantzilla should come live with him. But then the tone of the letters kind of change and the purpose for the letters change. But it's a good example of a conversation in the form of a letter, and they write back and forth to each other over a pretty long time, about a year, I think. Oh, there's Mortimer. And the first letter is June 8, Dear Mr. Lester, I would like to bring Plantzilla home for the summer. All year long, I sat next to him. I brushed him. I watered him. I kept his growth charts. Plantzilla is the only plant I care that much about. Besides, he might miss me over the vacation and wonder where I am. I want Plantzilla, only Plantzilla. Please? I've had so much fun with him in 3rd grade, I can hardly wait until next year. Your new soon-to-be 4th grade student, Mortimer Henryson. Now, Mortimer had to think about who he was writing to and why he was writing this letter before he even got started. So he decided his addressee, who his letter is to, is Mr. Lester, and the purpose of this letter is to persuade or convince Mr. Lester to let him take Plantzilla home with him. Okay, now this letter is from Mr. and Mrs. Henry Henryson. So this is Mortimer's parents. They are writing, it says, to whom it may concern. So it sounds like they don't exactly know the name of the person, or it's just a very formal letter. Mortimer Henryson has permission to bring home a plant over summer vacation. We are happy to provide the care a plant would need to grow and thrive. As much sunlight does pour in through our windows, and there is more than enough water flowing from our clear crystal springs, we will be breathing a little easier now with all the extra oxygen. Don't you think this makes for the best kind of symbiotic relationship? Now, the purpose of this letter is to give permission and provide reasons why it's okay for Mortimer to have the plant. So it's also kind of a persuasive letter. Here, Mr. Lester is writing back to Mr. and Mrs. Henryson. So his addressee is Mr. and Mrs. Henryson. That's who the letter is to. Let's read this letter and think about what is the purpose of this letter? Why did he write it? I am delighted Mortimer has chosen Plantzilla. The plants were named based on their characteristics. The children nicknamed this one Plantzilla because Zilla sounds like cilia. As you are probably aware, cilia is a term used in botany to describe a hair-like material that can run along the margin or edge of a structure, such as a leaf usually forming a fringe. That is a lot of information. Mortimer has taken charge of Plant Cilia's care and development. I am sure he will want to continue this over the summer. Of course, there are cases where the fondness for these plants grows as well. Don't be surprised if you find it difficult to part with Plant Cilia at summer's end. If this should happen, I am happy to tell you that adoption is not out of the question. Feel free to write or have Mortimer drop me a postcard if any questions should crop up, or just let me know how things are going. My address is. So this letter seems to have a couple different purposes. The first paragraph is giving us a lot of information about Plant Cilia, but it's also encouraging the family to write back. It says, please feel free to write or have Mortimer drop me a postcard if any questions should crop up. So, different purpose, and our author, Mr. Lester, had to think about the purpose of his letter before he actually wrote it. Here's one more. Think about what is the purpose of this letter. We know the addressee is Mr. Lester. Thank you for Plantzilla. Things are going really great. Plantzilla loves living here, I can tell. I just know he would be happy. Remember you said different plants have different growing preferences? That is so true. Wait until you see how Plantzilla is growing. The best news of all is that Plantzilla is beginning to eat real food, mostly meat. I'll keep my notes up and we'll write again soon. Now, let's look at this list. And what do you think the purpose of that letter was? Definitely maintaining a relationship with Mr. Lester, definitely sharing news. I also noticed that Mortimer is recording observations and events about Plantzilla's growth and the fact that the plant now eats meat. That's a pretty big deal that someone should probably know about. Now, looking at this list, let's look at one last text that we've read, The Day the Crayons Quit by Drew Daywalt, and think about how the author of our letters, you'll remember, let's read this before we think about our purpose. One day in class, Duncan went to take out his crayons and found a stack of letters with his name on them. Now, we know who the addressee of these letters is. It's to Duncan. Think about what are the purpose of these letters. And the crayons had to stop and think before they even started writing. They knew they were writing to Duncan, and they had to think, why am I writing Duncan a letter? And let's look at the first letter from Red Crayon. Hey Duncan, it's me, Red Crayon. We need to talk. You make me work harder than any of your other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring. Fire engines, apples, strawberries, and everything else that's red. I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas at Christmas and all the hearts on Valentine's Day. I need a rest. Your overworked friend, Red Crayon. Why is Red Crayon writing this letter? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking about why Red Crayon wrote this letter. Gus, Red Crayon is writing Duncan to tell him he needs a break because he's feeling overworked. So he's telling him how he feels and what he needs. He's expressing emotion. That is one purpose for letters. So you could think about expressing how you're feeling or telling someone what you need. You could write a letter like that today. Let's look at Purple Crayon. Dear Duncan, all right, listen. I love that I'm your favorite crayon for grapes, dragons, and wizards' hats, but it makes me crazy that so much of my gorgeous color goes outside the lines. If you don't start coloring inside the lines soon, I'm going to completely lose it. Your very neat friend, Purple Crayon. Purple Crayon also seems to be feeling some emotion and expressing a need to Duncan. I'm going to skip that one because we can't really see it. All right, here we go. This is from Orange Crayon. Dear Duncan, I see Yellow Crayon already talked to you, the big whiner. Anyway, could you please tell Mr. Tattletale that he is not the color of the sun? I would, but we're no longer speaking. We both know I'm clearly the color of the sun because on Thursday, you used me to color the sun on both the Monkey Island and the Meet the Zookeeper pages in your Day at the Zoo coloring book. Orange, you glad I'm here? Ha! Your pal and the real color of the sun, orange crayon. Orange crayon also seems to be expressing some feeling and thought. Now, your independent work today is going to be to think about who you're writing to, who's your addressee, and what is your purpose for writing. And you can use this graphic organizer that's in your ELA packet to help you. Now, there's two different charts called Let's Be Letter Writers, and they're very similar. I'm gonna let you choose which one you want. This one has lots of text, but the next page has pictures to help you. So these questions will help us decide which kind of letter you're gonna write, and I'm gonna encourage you to write more than one draft today. So think about, what are you gonna need? Who are you gonna write to? What is your purpose and what do you wanna say? What are you gonna use? Pencils, pens, crayons, markers like Duncan? Will I include illustrations or photos that require more postage? Ooh, that means, are you going to include pictures like taken from a camera where you might need more stamps if you're going to mail your letter? Something to think about. And are you gonna type your letter? Will that fit your purpose? How? How are you gonna type your letter? And what will your letter look like? These are all things that you need to think about today as a letter writer. And then I want you to come up with two different purposes and two different addressees, or who you're gonna write to, and begin your draft. Remembering that we're gonna go back to these letters and revise them, which means change them to make them better, and also edit them, which means we're gonna check for spelling and grammar and all those things. So don't worry too much about that, but do keep in mind that as a second grader, you're writing more like a grown-up, right? Which means you know when you have a period and a capital, you know why you have capitals and when you have capitals, and you know how to use all of your phonics skills to help you write correctly. So let's remind ourselves, we learned that letter writers always choose an addressee and purpose before they begin writing, and that graphic organizer is going to help you do that today. Now, here are your phonics skills that you have learned that are going to help you today as you write. Find powerful word parts. Use your troublemaker words to help you, thinking about words that always give you trouble and what can you do about it. And go back into your Snap Words book and use those words to help you. Make sure that you're spelling words correctly, writing more and more like a grown-up. You're also, as always, going to practice your independent reading today as well, building your reading stamina back up from winter break, reading for longer and longer periods of time. Now is time for our affirmation. So think about, what do you need to say to yourself today when things maybe aren't as easy? What is something that you could say to yourself to build yourself up? Positive self-talk, because we all need it. Take some think time. I've got mine. Today, I'm going to remind myself that I am respectful. I can respect other people. We may not all think the same. We definitely don't all think the same. We definitely don't all feel the same. But it's important for us to still be respectful. So if that is what you need to tell yourself today, let's practice it together. If you need to tell yourself something else today, you can practice saying that out loud right now. I am respectful. Excellent job today, second graders. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow in our TV classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.